Hello, welcome to the State of the Legion. In this series I'm going to be going through the Chaos Space Marines Legion by Legion, evaluating them as a whole, pointing out anything that I think is particularly good, any specific tactics. I will keep it themed. I'm not going to just talk about maybe generic Chaos Space Marines all the time. I would like to focus on each video, with a themed army, the way you'd expect from the Legion. It's a bit late to make this. I know Psychic Awakening has been out for a long time, and there's a potentially, new Chaos Space Marine Codex at any point, but I want to get it done. So we're going to do it. I will do every Legion, starting with the Night Lords, because they're the first thing out of my display cases. So off we go. Now, generally speaking, I think the Night Lords are in a good place. I think that they benefited well from Psychic Awakening, and I think they're in a good position. I really do. I haven't had a chance to use them really. Stuff's been crazy obviously recently. Haven't really got to use things as much as I'd like to, but they definitely, were an army that I was looking forward to using and exploiting. Hopefully I'll still get to at some point, but the way coronavirus is going, I wouldn't be surprised if we've got the new Chaos Codex before I even get a chance to use any of this book. But having said that, we'll get straight to it. Now, unfortunately, probably all know, the Legion trait is a bit rubbish. It's just your basic -1 leadership to a maximum of 3. Now, I've never been a fan of leadership manipulation. I've never thought that it's very good. In 8th edition, most stuff was either immune to it because it's fearless for some reason, if it's orcs or, tyrannids or something, or it's guard, they can just use a commissar to shoot people. If it's Marines, they never failed because they just re-rolled. Slightly different now in 9th, obviously. Marines can fail their leadership tests, but then again, the leadership tests themselves have changed. It used to be potentially worth exploiting because you would just kill models. So if you really stacked it up on somebody, you could guarantee extra kills. But even then, you wouldn't do it because they just spend 2 CP on insane bravery or something. And it doesn't even, now even if they do fail their leadership test, all it's going to really happen is you're going to lose one more guy and then maybe some more guys on ones. So I feel like, leadership manipulation already wasn't good. It was already something I didn't care about. And due to the changes with leadership and, morale in 9th, it's even worse. And honestly, even if you do make people fail their leadership tests, I don't think it's going to matter. They're just going to lose one guy, maybe another 1 or 2 guys on the roll. It's just not good. You can get it to +3. You can obviously have a banner in the squad for +1. There's probably more stuff in here. It's just not good. I mean, maybe it works for you. I'm obviously not the arbiter of what works for Chaos. If it works for you, you get good results, then good for you. But it's always something that makes me sigh whenever I see it. The Death Guard had it with the Warlord trait as well. I think Typhus had it last edition. I've always hated it. Always makes me sigh when I see -1 leadership. It could be -4 leadership, I wouldn't care. It's just not good enough. If it's clutch, they use insane bravery, spend the CP, and if it's not clutch, it normally doesn't work out anyway. Because they just go, oh, I've got synapse, or I've got a commissar, or I've got an orc with a boss pole, and I just killed E3 guys and pass, or some other rubbish, It's just never really works out that well. But, having said that, they did get some good stuff besides the crappy Legion trait. So they got some good Warlord traits. Now, the first one, Night Haunter's Curse, is the one that they have in the Chaos Space Marines Codex. I think it's rubbish. I think it's absolute rubbish. Once per battle round, you could reroll a single hit roll, wound roll, damage roll, advance roll, charge roll, or saving throw made for this Warlord. There are units out there that get to do all of those things. You can just be, Death Skulls or something. You get to reroll to hit and wound and damage in every squad as much as you want. But, if you're Night Lord's Warlord, he gets to do it once on one thing. It's just rubbish. One piece at a time, though, is really good. It is, he can charge in a turn when he falls back, and is -1 to hit in melee combat. So that's a really good one. Having a Demon Prince, maybe a Flying Demon Prince, just jumping from combat to combat. being -1 to hit is always good too, especially if you're fighting somebody who, was maybe counting on getting, maybe they had a Thunder Hammer or Power Fist, but they've got +1 from something, so they're still counting on hitting you. But, you take that away from them and they're still hitting you on 3s or 4s or something. But really it's being able to charge and turn you full back. Now, whether it's a Demon Prince or, a jump pack character, because, Night Lords, you are themed towards jump packs, you will probably have a guy with a Chaos Lord with a jump pack with either double Lightning Claws or a Thunder Hammer. Really useful. I think that's a great one. It's probably one that I would take. Murderous Reputation is just 1 mortal wound on 6s to wound. It's the same as you get standard in the Chaos Space Marines Codex, really. I think it's called Flames of Spite. It's okay, but honestly it's not great. I wouldn't bother taking it. Killing Fury is another good one. It's +D3 attacks. Now, Blood Angels have a stratagem where they pay a CP to get +D3 attacks on a character, but you can just take it as a Warlord trait, and you get it all the time. When they charge, are charged, or perform a heroic intervention. This one is good. It's definitely, it's worth having if you've got, again, maybe a double Lightning Claw guy. If you took this with I think they're called the Rapacious Talons, they're a demon relic from further ahead in this book. They give you +D6 attacks, so if you were using those on either a Chaos Lord on a jump pack or a Demon Prince, he'd have +D6 attacks from those and +D3 from these. And it doesn't replace Hateful Assault, so they'd also have Hateful Assault, so it'd be +1, +D6, +D3. I think that's really good. It's a really good one. And it's also something I would probably do if I was going to do, a Smash Lord with the Thunder Hammer, coming down with, I think 5 attacks for a Lord, +1 for Hateful Assault, +D3 for this. So whether it's Lightning Claws or something like a Thunder Hammer, I think that's a really good one. Now, one with the Shadows and Dirty Fighter are both, they're fun. They're fun and they're themed. I don't think you'll, necessarily use them competitively or, even in like a normal match play game. But they're fun, and I'm glad they're in here because they're very thematic, and if you did want to run just a full themed Night Lord's army, I think you'll definitely enjoy them. So one with the Shadows is that when resolving an attack against this Warlord when they're entirely on or within a terrain feature, they get +1 to their saving throws. And okay, I had to pause there because it's weirdly written. There's you get +1 to the saving throw, excluding invulnerable saves, and then it goes on in the second part of the paragraph to say, oh, it works on invulnerable saves as well. Very strange, not sure what that's about. But yeah, if you had your Chaos Lord or something in a terrain feature, if you wanted to really make sure that he was hanging around a building or something, he'd get +1 to his save. I suppose the armor save could go up to a 2+, or potentially even a 1+, there's no cap on it, but the invulnerable save is capped at a 3+. That's really good. Again, it's thematic, the idea that he's one with the Shadows and it's hard to hit him, and he's you go to strike him and he blends into the wall and then comes out of another shadow. It's really thematic. Is it going to come up often? Probably not. Your opponent will probably just not go towards ruins and buildings and things that have him inside, but it's a nice one. And Dirty Fighter, if there were more friendly models within 3 inches than enemy models, he would get +1 to wound, because he will gang up. They'll gang up on you and he'll get +1 to wound. That's a good one. Again, if you are going to get stuck in combat with multiple, like I've got my Chaos Lord here, he's got his squad there. If you were going to outnumber your opponents, maybe if you had a Lord leading a squad of Warp Talons or something, you get +1 to wound. I don't know if +1 to wound is amazing compared to some of the other abilities that you get here, but it's definitely quite nice, and it's thematic. Just the idea that he's going to gang up on somebody, it's pretty fun, I think. Now the stratagems, they always had in Midnight Clad, that was their Chaos Codex stratagem, and it's good because it's a -1 to hit, but you declare it when they're targeted. So you could, people use this essentially to screw over people that are using plasma. If your opponent declares they're going to overcharge plasma at your unit, you can declare this and it's -1 to hit, but now they've declared it. Usually people doing something like that with plasma would choose not to shoot a unit that's -1 to hit, but with this, you declare it when it's targeted, so it's too late now, and you're gonna die on 1s or 2s. So that was always a good one, and even if you're not doing it against plasma, You know, it's still nice to get an extra -1 to hit, because you could use this on one unit, have miasma on another unit, have smoke launchers on other units. It's just a good way to get more -1 to hit. Now, Vox Scream, this is maybe, you know, I would say one of the best stratagems in the game. It's the kind of stratagem that, you know, you get your new book and you read through the book and then you see this and you just scream. It's one of those incredibly good stratagems that you just dream about. Again, I've never actually got to use it, but it was always one that I was excited to maybe get to use. There's 2 command points, but you can, at the end of your movement phase, you select an enemy unit within 18 inches of any Night Lord's unit, so it could even be a flyer. You could have a Hellblade or something, just fly straight over there, and you can do it straight off of that. And until the start of your next movement phase, enemy units can't benefit from any of the selected units' aura abilities. So, I mean, you just choose a unit within 18 inches, and nothing can benefit from its aura abilities. This is crazy, and 18 inches is huge. You wouldn't even need a necessarily fast-moving unit. Like I just said, a Hellblade to really get it over there, but, you know, honestly, you could probably zoom forwards a Rhino or a bike or really anything, and if you add the 18 inches to the movement, you're probably going to be able to get anything on the table with this. and then that's it. So, you know, if it's a chapter master or a captain or a lieutenant or a chaplain or, you know, anything like that, just take your abilities away, and there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do unless they've got some kind of stratagem that can deny your stratagem, like Gene Stealer Cults maybe, or Dark Eldar. But mostly, you know, generally speaking, nothing they can do. You just pay 2 CP and that's it. No aura abilities. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Prey on the weak. If you're shooting something or fighting something, shooting phase or fight phase, that has a lower leadership than your own unit's leadership. So if you are leadership 8 probably for Chaos Space Marines, maybe 9, and you're shooting at something that has a lower leadership, then you get +1 to hit. So that's pretty good. You know, a lot of stuff probably is maybe leadership 6 or 7. You know, and it's just a 1 CP +1 to hit. It's great. You know, you can have +1 to hit for this stratagem. You can have +1 to hit for a Dark Apostle somewhere else. You can have +1 to hit for Prescient somewhere else. That's 3 +1s to hit in one phase. It's really good. Yeah, it's really good. You know, 1 CP, you can't go wrong with that. Now, hit and run. Hit and run is another incredible. I mean, these stratagems. I went crazy when I saw these stratagems, because I thought, surely Chaos don't have good. Games Workshop is physically incapable of writing good rules for Chaos, but here we go. They finally did it. They can do it. They've proven they can do it. They're so good. And I'm just going to gush the more I do this all over all the legions. It's crazy. Hit and run, 1 CP. You can fall back and charge. You can just fall back and charge with 1 CP. This is crazy. Whether it's maybe a unit of Warped Talons or a unit of Terminators or Raptors or anything. I haven't got them on the table here, but I've been building a Chosen unit with power swords. Looking forward to using those with veterans or something. Should be good. I mean, that's just crazy. 1 CP. You just fall back and shoot. So good. So many applications. Can't go wrong with that. And then we have come for you. We have come for you. So good. 1 CP again. This is incredible. I can't even believe this. This is one of those things that, again, you see it and you scream and you go, I can't wait to use this. 1 CP, you just choose a unit, not a vehicle, has to be a unit, Warped Talons, Raptors, Marines, whatever. And nothing, any units, apart from vehicle units and Titanic units, but any units within an inch of that unit can't fall back. Can't fall back! And it's not just the poor Black Templars. In the same book, the poor Black Templars have got a similar stratagem for 1 or even 2 CP, I think, where they just choose 1 unit. I think it's 2 CP, they choose 1 unit and it can't fall back. This is 1 CP for your unit, and any other units within 1 inch of that can't fall back unless they're a vehicle. It's just incredible. You know, you can come down, wrap the strike down, charge a unit, maybe kill it, maybe not kill it, hopefully kill it, and then just consolidate into like 3 other units, 3 other units, and then they're all shut down and they can't fall back. Obviously, you don't want to spread yourself too thin because they will fight back. And if you're trying to tag 1 unit with 1 guy, another unit with 1 guy, and so on, you'll just get killed when they fight back. You need to make sure you're doing it to units that you'll survive the attacks from. So, you know, don't be too greedy and spread yourself too thin. But, you know, if you manage to charge a squad of intercessors and there was 2 units of Hellblasters, you got to just slaughter the intercessors, pile forwards, tag both units of Hellblasters. They're probably not going to just, you know, beat down your Warp Talons or Raptors or whatever it is. You know, they're probably still going to be stuck there in their turn. And boom, no more Hellblasters for that turn. It's so good. It's going to punish castles. Castles are really strong. I hate fighting them. They're horrible to deal with, but this you could shut down most of a castle. Again, as long as you don't charge things that can actually kill you. Because if you pile in and consolidate, you know, they will fight you. So as long as it's something that you can survive the attacks from, I would recommend even maybe taking something, you know, maybe you have a sorcerer nearby that can cast Delightful Agonies on them or something. If you had, you know, say 10 Warp Talons and a Jump Pack Chaos Lord, maybe have a Jump Pack Sorcerer as well that can do Delightful Agonies, just to really try to make sure that they survive until the next turn. And then you can use this and boom, shut down so much shooting. It'd be horrific. I've never got to use it, but, you know, I really want to. From the Night, it's a Night Lord's infantry unit, so really it's going to be Warp Talons or Raptors, but you could use it on Marines. If they're within a terrain feature, they get +2 to charge. Now, on the subject of +2 to charge, I will also obviously mention the Raptorial Host from Vigilus. It's not legal in tournaments anymore, I think, but, you know, if you were playing normal games, match play games, you can still use Vigilus if you want to. And of course, the Raptorial Host, you can take the secondary Warlord trait, which gives you +2 to charge for your Warlord and any units within 6 inches of your Warlord on the turn that you arrive. So if you took, you know, a Jump Lord with your main Warlord trait, 10 Warp Talons, and then maybe like a Jump Pack Sorcerer maybe with the secondary Warlord trait. So, you know, you bring the Warp Talons down, you bring your Lord down, they get +2 to charge anyway. If you bring them down on a terrain feature, they've now got +4 to charge. It's crazy. +4 to charge, you know, so that's worth doing, you know, the Vigilus Stratagem. It's definitely worth doing, getting that +2 to charge anyway. If you were running a Night Lord's army that was themed to be, you know, Warp Talons and Raptors and things, you're definitely going to do that until they take it away from you. But, you know, from the night, if you do happen to be in a terrain feature, it's uncertain, you know, that's why you should go for the Raptorial Host, because you know you've got that one for the Raptorial Host. But, you know, you might end up in a terrain feature, you might not. If you do, use this, 4 inches extra. Crazy. Which brings me on to Raptor Strike, 1 CP. These are all 1 CP. Can't believe it. Raptor Strike. Roll 3d6 for your charge. And it's not choose the best, it's all 3. 3d6 charge. Woof. You know, your jump, which means you can ignore units in the way. Can't ignore terrain, you've got to, you know, do terrain, I think, but you can ignore units. 3d6, you know, maybe 3d6 +2, maybe even 3d6 +4. Incredible. 3d6 in its charge, you're going to make it. Now, whether this is making a charge from a Smash Captain more reliable, you know, if you've got your Jump Pack Chaos Lord on his own maybe, with a Thunderhammer, use this 3d6 inches, make sure he makes that 9-inch charge into the you know, vehicle or whatever it is that you want, the monster, the character, whatever you're trying to just assassinate. With his Thunderhammer, make sure that goes off. Or it's a big unit of, you know, Warp Talons or something, or Raptors, you can have 10 Warp Talons. I think you can have 15 Raptors. So, you know, if I was going to try to just tie a castle up, I'd take probably the 15 Raptors, use We Have Come For You, use Raptor Strike, 3d6 charge, spread them out as much as I can, tag as many units as I can, have the Jump Sorcerer, put Delightful Agonies on them for the Feel No Pain. And then you're going to get so far with this 3d6 inch charge. You're going to get so far, you should easily be able to tag anything that you want. Just horrific, just horrific. They could, and then you've got, you know, Vox Scream as well. So you're taking away aura abilities. Any number of aura abilities you could potentially be shutting down. I mean, you can just imagine a big bomb of these guys, Warp Talons, Raptors. They come down, they're going to make the charge, they're going to tag a lot of stuff. It can't fall back from them. They don't get the aura abilities if there is a guy that has horrible aura abilities. It's crazy. This is like the anti-castle. This is the anti-castle deep strike. Now, obviously, your opponent, you know, especially if they know you're playing Night Lords, there's, you know, various things they can do to stop you from doing this. They can have I don't know if they're called interceptors or something. If you're playing Marines, you know, we have like a 12-inch, you know, deep strike zone. Obviously, there are some armies that have things like that. Could screw it up for you, but you can always hold back. You can always hold back until turn 3. You know, make sure that the rest of your forces are on the ground. You know, kill those units specifically. If it's a land, you know, whether it's a Land Raider Proteus with the augury web. I can't say it. You know what I mean. But you know, anything that is on the table that has that rule, you can hold back. You don't need to do this turn 2. You can do it turn 3. You know, turn 4 even, as long as it makes it to the table and actually hits what you want to hit. Great. And then the last one is flay them alive. Flay them alive. If a unit is destroyed as a result of an attack made by a Night Lord's model, then until the end of the turn, when a morale test is taken for an enemy unit within 12 inches of that Night Lord's unit, your opponent must roll 1 additional d6, and you can choose which dice is discarded. You know, it's okay, but again, I'm really not interested in making people flee at this point. You know, it's not as dangerous as it was, you know, in 8th when this book came out. It's okay. You may find yourself with an actual secondary objective, maybe, where you get points for making people flee. So then this would be useful for you to, you know, really try to make sure they flee. But I don't think you're going to use it personally. It's not great. It's not great. It's just because not much is really guaranteed to happen now if somebody flees. You know, it's not like, oh, you lost by 6, so 6 guys die. It's just, oh, you lost by 6, so 1 guys die, and you know, maybe a couple more if you get some ones, but you know, most likely it's not so useful. And lastly, on to the relics. Now, I will get to the relics in Psychic Awakening, but I'm just going to look at the relics in the Chaos Space Marines Codex because there's still some really good ones that definitely shouldn't be overlooked. So the Night Lord specific relic are the Claws of the Black Hunt. Now, these are still really good. They're +1 strength, AP -3, damage D3, and you get an extra attack. I believe it's been FAQ'd, so now you get 2 extra attacks because you get an extra attack per Lightning Claw. So it's +2 attacks, I think. Strength +1, AP -3, damage D3, and you know, reroll wounds. That's a really solid set of Lightning Claws. It's definitely a really solid relic if you do have a Jump Pack Lord with Lightning Claws. I do. He wasn't painted, so he's not here, but I do have one. I think that, you know, whether you go for the Claws of the Black Hunt here, or you go for the Rapacious Talons as the demon weapon in this book, personally, in my own army, I would probably have the Claws of the Black Hunt on the Jump Lord that goes with, you know, the Warp Talons or something, and the Rapacious Talons on the Demon Prince, which is this lady here, because you know one of the struggles that the Demon Prince has is, you know, wounding, because it's strength 7 with the Talons. It can be awkward to wound vehicles and things, but you know, giving him Demon Lightning Claws for the rerolls essentially, you know, suddenly a Demon Prince that rerolls, because he rerolls his hits on 2s. He's got 5 attacks, I think. He's got 4 base, 1 for Hateful Assault, plus D6 for the Talons. So, you know, 5 plus D6 attacks for those Talons, maybe plus D3 for that Warlord trait. You know, but he's only going to be strength 7, so re-rolling to wound, getting just flat re-rolls to wound with Lightning Claws. It's unusual to get that on Demon Prince, and I think it's really worth it. Obviously, you know, you could use a psychic power like Diabolic Strength to make it strength 9 with 6 attacks base. And that would be even better. Then you'd be wounding on 3s with re-rolls most of the time. I think they're a good choice for the Demon Prince. Do remember though that it specifically says that the Rapacious Talons replace the Malefic Talons, and the Malefic Talons give you +3 attacks due to what it says on their profile. There's nothing on the profile of the Rapacious Talons that says you get +3 attacks. So you're essentially replacing the guaranteed 3 attacks with D6. So it could be worse if you roll a 1 or 2, could be the same on a 3, or better on a 4, 5 or 6. I think it's worth the risk, because even if it is less and you get only 1 or 2 attacks, you're still getting reroll 1s to wound. And if we're talking about strength 7 versus toughness 7, you know, wounding on 4s, getting the rerolls to wound, it's probably going to give you better odds than just having a couple more attacks and, you know, failing a bunch of 4+ to wound, because you know that's what happens with 4+. So yeah, I'd probably do Rapacious Talons on the Demon Prince, Claws of the Black Hunt on a Jump Lord, And if I had a second Jump Lord, then, you know, maybe a Thunder Hammer and run him on his own somewhere else, and he can, you know, come down somewhere else later on. And I will also say that the Intoxicating Elixir is still, in my opinion, one of the best relics. It's just +1 strength and attacks. Again, if you had a Demon Prince with Talons, strength 8 straight away, perfect for Marines, +1 attack, perfect. It's a simple relic, but it's really effective. It just gets you, you know, 6 attacks, +3 for the Talons, strength 8, you know, perfect already. It's really good. I'm going to leave it there for this book. You know, there is more relics, but it doesn't really matter so much. So moving on here, the first relic is the Flayer. Now, when I first was reading through this book, I wasn't really too bothered by the Flayer. You know, I didn't think there was much about it. It's a power sword, replaces your power sword, so 5 points, I think. +1 strength, AP -3, damage 2. And any models killed count as 2 models for combat resolution. Now, I haven't got to use my Chaos Sword here yet, but that big glowy green sword he's got is meant to be the Flayer, because I actually now really like it. I think it's a pretty good sword. Now all Space Marines have got 2 wounds. You know, any wounds you get with this is going to be a guaranteed dead Marine. You know, if you had a Chaos Lord, he'd be, I suppose, 5 attacks, maybe 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s, wounding on 3s, AP -3, that's Marines down to a 6-up save. 2 damage, so each fail is a dead Marine. You know, that's pretty capable for a combat character. And then if you did, say, kill 4 Marines, you had your 5 or 6 attacks, got some Death to False Emperors probably. But let's say you killed 4 Marines, that counts as 8. You know, they were probably only leadership 8 to begin with. I know I said that I don't care much about combat resolution things, but, you know, if we're not talking about a unit of 10, if we're talking about a unit of, you know, 6, a lot of people like to run 6, especially for the Primaris troops. They run 6 Hellblasters, 6 Intercessors, or even if it's just 5. You know, if you do kill 3 or 4 of them, especially 4 of them, you know, it could really be what helps you finish those last 1 or 2 guys. So, you know, it could turn out okay. But I just think getting +1 strength, AP -3, damage 2, it's good. It's going to be, you know, it's a cheap weapon. It's a bit cheap, but, you know, I think it's effective. 2 damage is good. Now the Stormbolt plate, unfortunately, it gives you a 2+ armor save, and you always count as being in cover. So I suppose, to some degree, you know, you could consider that a 1+ armor save, because it's a 2+ armor save with a permanent +1 for being in cover. Unfortunately, though, you can't give it to a Demon Prince. That, I think, would be the main use for this relic. If I was going to take the relic, I think the main use would be to give it to a Demon Prince. You can't. So, you know, would I give the Stormbolt plate to a troop, you know, a Foot Lord or a Jump Pack Lord? You know, honestly, I don't think I would. Most of the time, they're going to be protected by troops anyway, or in cover, combat. Sorry. You know, it's not going to. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it personally. I don't see many situations where having the 2+ save and counting as being in cover on on an infantry character is really going to help you. It's only going to be if you're caught out in the open, and at the end of the day, if you are caught out in the open because the rest of your squad is dead, it's not going to save you. It's not going to save you. You're still going to get shot down. And, you know, considering you've got your 4+ invulnerable save, the difference between a 3+ save and a 2+ save in combat, it's not that big, because most people are going to minus a couple of points and you're just going to be on your 4+ invuln anyway. So I think you can do without this one. Now the Vox Demonicus, this is another really good one. This is, again, I said that the Vox Scream is maybe one of the best stratagems. The Vox Demonicus is definitely, in my opinion, one of the best relics. It's worth taking. I would say it's the main relic worth taking. If you're going to take any relics, I would say to take this. It's an infantry model only, so again, Jump Lord or something. Well, an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this relic, or a model with this relic, you reduce the range of that unit's aura abilities to 1 inch. And enemy units can't be set up as reinforcements within 12 inches. So you've got some deep strike denial, but most importantly, you shut down somebody's aura ability. Now it's not as good as the Vox Scream, because in that one, they just, you know, units can't be affected by it. In this one, it changes it to 1 inch. So if you are in combat, it's whatever aura abilities it has will still affect the unit that it's fighting nearby, presumably in combat, and it will still affect itself. But If you were again plunging into the heart of a castle or something, and they were counting on having a 6-inch aura, or maybe even bigger, 9 inches or something, it's going to still shut it down to 1 inch. Most units at that point probably out of range. Really good. I'd say it's definitely worth having. The Talons of the Night Terror. The Talons of the Night Terror. This is a good relic, but it's a relic that I sort of wish wasn't a relic, because it's something that would be good if it was in conjunction with another relic, but it's still good. It's essentially blades on their feet. It's like when you see raptors with spiky foot talons. You get plus D3 attacks with the weapon, or D6 extra attacks if it's made a charge move or a heroic intervention this turn. But it's not with a weapon that they use. It's its own thing. So all it is +1 strength, AP -1, damage 1. So if you charge, it's an additional D6 attacks, +1 strength, AP -1, damage 1. You could give it to a Demon Prince. It has to be any model that can fly. So if you did give it to a Demon Prince, that would be an additional D6, strength 8, AP -1, damage 1 attacks. It's okay, and it would be okay if you had it on a Lord, because that would still be strength 5 on a Lord. It's it's a bit of chaff clearing. You could scratch somebody to death at -1 AP, but I struggle to see you taking it over some other relics. That's what I mean by saying I kind of wish it wasn't a relic, in effect, because I think that compared to the other things that you're going to take, you're going to take something like the Claws of the Black Hunt, Rapacious Talons, Vox Demonicus. It's okay, but it doesn't really stand up to the other relics, in my opinion. Now the Scourging Chains. This is another one that I mirror just what I said. It's decent, but I wish it wasn't a relic, because you're not gonna take it over an actual relic. What it does, basically, the Scourging Chains give you an additional AP on weapons that you already have. So if you had Lightning Claws, for example, they're AP -2. This would make them AP -3. Or if you had a Thunder Hammer, AP -2 now, so it would be AP -3 again. And it also minuses 1 from the attacks of enemy models while they're within an inch. So anything within an inch loses an attack. That's okay. The main thing really is the -1 AP for you, but again, seeing as you can't combine this with the relic itself, because it is a relic, the range of weapons that you have to put this on are not great. If you did make Lightning Claws AP -3, there's still only 1 damage, whereas you could just take the Claws of the Black Hunt and they're D3 damage. I think the Rapacious Talons are 2 damage, flat 2 damage for them. So you're probably going to take either of those anyway to get the additional damage and abilities that they give you. It's just, you'd be giving normal Lightning Claws AP -3, you'd be giving a normal Power Sword AP -4, but there's still only AP damage 1, sorry. So again, if you want a Power Sword, I think damage 2 for the Flayer would be better. You could make a Thunder Hammer AP -3. That'd be decent, compared to -2, but are you going to waste a relic slot? I don't think so, personally. And then lastly, you've got the Misery of the Meek, which is essentially a once per game restore D6 lost wounds and add D3 to the attack's characteristics. So, in fairness, if you had, the Warlord trait as well, you could get plus D3 attacks for a turn, plus 2 D3 attacks for a turn. If you had maybe the Rapacious Talons, you get plus D6 attacks, plus 2 D3 for the Relic and the Warlord trait. It'd be a whole bunch of attacks, but really, I'm not sure you'd go for it, really. Restoring D6 lost wounds is good. I guess if you did, it's good. It's good. I'm not going to say it's bad. It's actually really good. It's plus D6 wounds and plus D3 attacks, but it's once per game. And, it's generally speaking, I'm not a fan of once per game things. Also, things that restore wounds to you, ultimately they're no good if you're already dead. You have to count on your opponent not finishing you off, and a lot of times they will make sure they finish you off. So, it's one of those things where you sort of take it and hope, I hope I only lose 3 of my 4 wounds, but then you don't. You take 6 wounds and you're over dead anyway. It's just, you never really, you can't count on it, but it's certainly decent. So that's all the specifics. Like I said at the beginning, I think that the Night Lords are in a good position for a Chaos Space Marines army. I think that in terms of tactical play, secondary objectives and that sort of thing, I think they've got a lot of good tricks up their sleeve that will help them score secondaries. They can obviously, if you're playing a themed army, let's say, and you are going for lots of Warp Talons and Raptors and things, or maybe Bikers, they are a sort of a fast army. You will likely build your army to be a fast moving army, which is going to help you with secondaries anyway. Some of the stratagems, you can combo them up if you want to. Like I said earlier, if it was me, I'd have a Raptor host with the Warlord trait that gives you +2 to charge. I'd use the Raptor strike for the 3d6 inches. I'd use hit and run to move out of combat and charge something else if I want to. You've got We Have Come For You to trap things in combat with you. You've got Vox Scream to shut down aura abilities. It's there's so much you can do. So much you can do for this. Because something like the Raptor Strike, for example, giving you the 3d6 inch charge, you could use that just for simple extra movement. Obviously, you can't declare a charge on something that's over 12 inches away, so it wouldn't let you charge, a unit that's 14 inches away from you. But remember when you're charging, you don't need to move every model into contact with the model that you're charging. You only need to move one model into the model that you're charging. So if you did, charge something that was 9 inches away from you post deep strike, and you rolled 3d6 and you got 16 inches, you could, as long as you got one model in there or some models into the unit that you charged, you could just overshoot it. Whether with how many models you want to is up to you. Just one, just like Conga Line 1, or have a whole bunch go up there. You can overshoot that unit and use this kind of thing to really just get straight onto an objective. Obviously the unit, you can, I think when you're a flyer, like a jump infantry, you don't get to ignore terrain now, but I think that you can ignore models. So if there was a squad, maybe stood in front of an objective trying to blockade you, you could use something like this to get 3d6 inch charge. As long as you charge that unit, you could, potentially fly straight over them and get lots of extra movement to be straight on the objective behind them. It's just so good. There's a lot of really good stuff. We Have Come For You. It's just so good for 1 CP to just shut down as much as you can tag in combat. Again, responsibly. You don't want it to just kill you. But it's really solid. You're probably going to hear me say similar things when I get to the Alpha Legion, because they've also got a lot of sneaky tactics that are just tailor-made. Absolutely tailor-made for secondary objective type scoring. I think that this is Night Lords are definitely in a good position. I would say probably better than some other legions. Although with the result of this book, I think all the legions are in a decent position. I think word bearers tend to get it the worst. They never really get anything that useful. But no, Night Lords, as far as this stage of the Legion is concerned, they are good, and there's a lot going for them. Now, when we get the new codex, the new Chaos Space Marines codex, whenever that might be, I might not be saying that in the next state of the Legion. I feel like we're going to lose basically everything in this book that we have currently, and go back to just a combined codex. I hope that when they do another codex, we at least get one page like we used to in the the 3.5 codex. We used to get one page at least for each legion that had a few unique things. I do not want us to be in a position of having one Warlord trait, one relic and one stratagem for 2 years until some other supplement comes out. I don't think anybody should be in that position, regardless of what codex it is. I think that it's just lazy and pathetic. Didn't like it about this book, won't like it about the next one, so I hope that's not the case. I hope we get at least a page. I know we're not going to get 3 or 4 pages with all these different relics and rules and things, but I think at least one page with a couple different things for each legion to differentiate them would be good. But have to wait and see until the next raid of the Legion. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will be back with all the other Legions at some point. I'll get through them as quickly as I can. Thank you.